We declare the inner classes of local and anonymous. These two are the additional types of inner classes which we can declare in an inner class with a body of a method. So these classes can be defined inside a block method or like a similar way of constructor. So these are called anonymous classes. And in modifiers also, like we can add the modifiers for the inner classes as well. Yeah. Local classes. Local classes are classes that are defined inside a block, like can be like which is a group of zero or more statements between balanced braces. So we typically find local classes defined inside a body of a method as well. So declaring local classes can be like you can define the local class inside any block, or like for example, you can define a local class inside a method body or a for loop or any if class. So directly we can use them with the like defining them inside these blocks actually. So the rules for the local class are: the scope of local inner class is restricted to the block they are defined. So you cannot access them outside their scope, like similar to the variable scope what we discussed, instance variable local scope. So here the same way, here it will be a class instead of it is a called a local class. So local inner class cannot be instantiated from outside the block where it is created. And one more restriction, if you are using in JDK 7, the local inner classes can access only final local variables of the enclosed block. Whereas in Java 8, you can use them with the non-final local variables as well, like normal variables also you can add inside that local variable of enclosing block of local inner class. So a local class has access to its members of its enclosing class. Local inner classes can extend an abstract class or can also implement an interface. So these are the like rules for the inner class. They are restricted to that block which that is defined, and they cannot be instantiated outside the block. And if you are using Java 7, you can only instantiate the final local variables, not the others. If you are using Java 8, you can instantiate normal variables as well, which are non-final local variables as well in the local class. Let us see an example of a local inner class. Here there is a local inner class and there is a method. Here we are taking the example of defining a class inside a method. So if you
Hello.
yeah. So here like I have defined a class, local inner class, and I have defined a method get value where I am giving the sum and divisor. So I am trying to replicate a scenario where like how we will use like there is a sum and there is a divisor. We'll get that quotient and remainder. So I want to implement that functionality in this get value. Oh, and display the quotient remainder and the other details actually. So if we observe this, the local variable sum must be final in JDK 7. Otherwise, like in JDK 8, like we can use the normal variables as well. So here I have declared a class inside a method. Class inner I have named it, and I have declared the variables like divisor, reminder. So if you see, there is a divisor in this get value method as well as divisor in this inner class. So this is inner class divisor has restriction inside this class, whereas like this divisor has the scope of this method. It can be used inside this inner class as well as outside that scope of this inside this scope of this method. And like I have created a constructor here. constructor uh, 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 constructor, and I am setting the what is the input given for the divisor and sum I am setting, and I am calculating the remainder in the constructor itself. Sum modulus operator I am using, and I have used divisor, and here I am returning the get divisor and the get remainder. Get divisor will return this local divisor whatever is there, and here like get reminder it will be returning the like some modulus of divisor will be returning the remainder value. So like how we calculated here, like the same way I have returned the sum modulus divisor to get the remainder, and get quotient. So the quotient will be the number which is like how many times the sum divided by the divisor. We got this, like here I am printing that it is inside inner class. Uh, uh, yeah, yes, okay.
So inner class, right?
Yeah, get value is method of local inner class, not inner class. Yeah, get quotient, inner dot get divisor, get remainder, get quotient. These are the methods of inner class. Okay.
Inner class.
Yeah. So we got this output. So here, like if you want to display the output of multiple values also, we can do it. So it will be executing. Let me execute and show. I have given 20 and 4 for the first one. So the divisor is 4 and the remainder is 0, because like 4 5s are 20 and quotient is 5. So for the we can give multiple values, so it will do all that calculation there, and it will display the divisor, remainder, and quotient for us. So this is how, like a sample example of local inner class, how we can use it. So anonymous classes enable us to make code more concise, and they enable us to declare instantiate a class at the same time, and we can declare local variables of this anonymous class, except they do not have any name actually. So you can use this anonymous class without name in a similar to the local class only. So while local classes are like a class definitions, anonymous classes are the expressions with which you can define a class with the another expression classes. An anonymous class is a similar to that expression or a statement, different kind of multiple statements in an expression. The syntax of an anonymous class expression is like the invocation of a constructor. Let's suppose how you give the input values to the constructor int x, int y. In a similar way, you will be defining or defining that class details inside that constructor method kind of thing. So that is how, like except there is a class defined inside that block of code in the constructor statements actually. So the anonymous class expression consists of these following act. It'll have a new operator, and it will have the name of the interface to implement or the class to extend. These are the two things what will be there for the anonymous class. And let us look at an anonymous class example here. Like I have created an interface hello world, and I have just like normal class instance, I have created an expression with a normal name of this hello world, and after that I have defined them for the multiple languages in greeting, like greeting in Hindi and greeting in Telugu. Like that, I have created a sample example using this local variables, and which are declared inside that scope. So, like local classes, anonymous classes can capture variables, but they have the same access to the similar to the local variables of the enclosing type. They can be accessed only inside that block where that anonymous class is defined inside that block. An anonymous class has access to the members of its enclosing class, and it cannot have the access of the local variables which in which it's enclosing scope that are not declared as final or effectively final. So like a nested class declaration type, we have the anonymous class declaration type also. But what we need to see this is anonymous class can have fields like which we define, and extra methods, even if they do not implement any methods, we need to implement them, that extra methods from that interface or that class, and that instance initialization we need to do, and they are like the local class as well. However, you cannot declare constructors in anonymous class. That is the one restriction here for this anonymous class. Let us see the example. Here I have created an interface hello world which has greet and greet someone, two methods. So as we discussed in past also, like interface will have the method names, and which will hide the implementation, and during the class in which we are implementing it, we'll have to give this method implementation of the interface. So like here I am writing an anonymous class. If you see, I have written a class inside this method. So say hello I have put, and for this hello method, inside this I have written a class English greeting. This is similar to the anonymous class local inner class kind of, because we have defined the name here, it will become a similar kind of local inner class kind of thing here. So if we don't give the name here, then it will become as a anonymous class. So here like I have defined a class English greeting which implements a hello world. Hello world is an interface. So in this definition of this interface, we'll have to write the implementation for this greet and greet someone methods. So I have like as I have implemented the hello world here, I have overridden this greet method, and I have added a string with the name world. I have added it, and I have created a method greet and greet someone also. One more method implementation I have written here, which will be greet someone will be returning saying like hello plus the name whatever we have given in input for the greet someone's name. So this is so we have defined here the class inside the method say hello method. We have defined a class which is has the implementation for the greet and greet someone. So like a similar kind of anonymous class how we can create for the English greeting, I have created hello world English greeting and assigned the subclass like to this interface of the, to this base interface. So English greeting I have created, and English greeting dot greet or English greeting dot greet someone will be calling that above class implementation. In a similar way, now I am writing a hello world Hindi greeting, and let us see how we have written a class here. I have not written any class name here, so that is why this is called anonymous. Anonymous is something like without giving any name we can use it. So I have not given any name for this class as in the top for implementing hello world and the others. I am directly creating at the time of giving that constructor only. I am creating inside that class, and I am trying to use these interface methods and provide the method implementation for these. So I have created a Hindi greeting inside this at the time of a constructor initialization. We are writing this code like string name kaise hai I have put, and void greet greet someone also, like I have put this string because greet someone takes the string, and inside that greet someone it will take and it will tell that like Pranam and with his name he will tell. It'll print this with the Pranam and the input what we give to the greet someone. So similar way, I have created a Telugu greeting with this name given and with implementation for this greet and greet someone. So if you observe here, at the time of declaration itself, we have at the time of declaration itself, I have provided this class implementation of these methods. So that is why this is called an anonymous class. So in this method I have called all these three greetings: English greeting dot greet, Hindi greeting dot greet someone I used, and Telugu greeting dot greet I used. And I have created a method for this anonymous class, and in this method I have called say hello, where the say hello implemented these anonymous classes, and it will print that greet statements in these three languages. Let us try to execute and see the output. Yeah. So for the English greeting, it is saying hello world, and for the Hindi greeting, it is saying, because we used greet someone, it is saying Pranam Bharat ji. Otherwise, it should say Pranam Kaise hai. And for Telugu greeting, we have put like Namaskar Prapanchaniki, like in this greet method. So this is how we implemented the anonymous class example. Yeah. Let us have review like what is an what are the concepts of the oops and we'll see what are all the different kind of definitions which we can give actually. So let us see like what is an object. An object is a software bundle of related state and behavior. Here like state is called the fields which we are defining under that private, and behavior is nothing but the method implementation what we are giving. So that is called like state and behavior. And software objects are often used to model the real world objects that we find in everyday life. So how state and behavior are represented within an object introduces the concept of data encapsulation. So the encapsulation is nothing but hiding the data of the field member variables inside this public implemented methods is called the data encapsulation. So let us see what are the advantages of this method encapsulation, or the objects how we'll be using. So bundling code into software individual objects provides a number of benefits here. So let us see the benefits of the using the objects. So it will have a modularity, it will have code reuse, and it is pluggable and debugging easy to debug. These are the advantages when you use this object oriented programming. And modularity, coming to the modularity, the source code for an object can be written and maintained independently, or the source code uh, for the